I do not know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. This is a quote by Albert Einstein, died with a great regret for having played a significant role in the creation of the atomic bomb. Wars are complicated things. Humans are complicated, but wars end up affecting the lives of people who have nothing to do with what's going on, innocent people. In this video, we're going to visit these two places that have been in the spotlight not only today, but for a long time, Israel and Palestine. This is an impartial video. I don't want to discuss sides. Here we will understand from the perspective of innocent locals how the war affects them. But I'm not in these places right now because it's really dangerous and difficult to get to these places today. So I made contact with local people that lived there for years to make the videos for me. So I invite you to see the perspective on their sides. So let's go. And our journey begins in the south of Israel, a region that was the scene of the massacre on the October 7th. This is a highly dangerous area because it's located next to the Gaza Strip. Covering Israel for us is Rodrigo. He's been living there for 15 years, and as a tour guide, he has access to these more affected regions. Below here, you can see his social medias to follow his work.
Aqui para trás de mim, a mais ou menos uns 200 metros de onde eu tô, é um kibbutz Nir Am. Essa é uma daquelas comunidades que foram gravemente afetadas durante os ataques do dia 7 de outubro. Mais ou menos 200 metros na minha frente, continuando por essa estrada de barro aqui, a gente chega até a fronteira com Gaza. No dia 7 de outubro, o que aconteceu foi que os terroristas quebraram a cerca e vieram com as suas caminhonetes e com as suas motos para completamente destruir esse kibbutz, que a gente consegue ver as primeiras casinhas dele já do lado de lá. Só que eles pararam aqui, nesse prédio, achando que a comunidade, que as casas começavam efetivamente aqui. Esse prédio que está aqui atrás de mim, na verdade, era um criadouro de galinhas. Então, por ser uma área agrícola e por ser um sábado onde não tinha ninguém trabalhando, os terroristas acabaram ficando detidos aqui e ouvindo o som dos tiros e de tudo mais. A comunidade que estava lá dentro do kibbutz acabou conseguindo se defender, né? Entender que o ataque era iminente, que isso ia acontecer a qualquer momento.
But what is a kibbutz? Kibbutz come from the Hebrew for group. They are agricultural communities where people share everything. The kibbutz are at the roots of Israel, and what makes these communities interesting is that the people who live there were all equal, with identical houses, identical clothing, and even the children have identical education. There are about 270 kibbutz in Israel, and it was some kibbutz in the south that suffered the most in the October 7th. Today, there are still remnants of that day. The Highway 232, which goes to the south of Israel bordering Egypt, was heavily affected. More than 2,000 cars were burned on that day.
Aqui atrás de mim, a gente está vendo um local onde todos os carros que foram removidos da rodovia principal que cruza essa região na fronteira com Gaza, ao longo da rodovia, se a gente tivesse passado por aqui, por exemplo, no dia 7, 8, 9 de outubro, a gente veria milhares de carros, todos eles destruídos, queimados inclusive com pessoas dentro, nessa área, nessa região aqui atrás de nós. Eles reuniram todas essas ruínas desses carros. Então a gente vê, por exemplo, uma pilha de carros queimados para aqui, para esse lado de cá, tudo isso que parece ferrugem, na verdade não é ferrugem, são carros que foram incendiados com os motoristas dentro. São mais de 2.000 veículos, que todos eles estariam espalhados ao longo da rodovia principal aqui, local onde estava acontecendo a festa nova, aquela festa de música eletrônica, onde aconteceu talvez uma das partes mais difíceis dessa chacina do dia 7.
In this visit to the south, it's clear to see that the war is still raging, like these darker clouds representing recent attacks on Gaza, or this city that Rodrigo is pointing out, which is located in Gaza and was completely flattened. There used to be buildings here, but now it's all ruins. But in the north of Israel, it's a different reality. While the war rages out in the south, Tel Aviv seems to be carried on with normal life. Tel Aviv is a city that's completely different from the rest of Israel, where you don't find much of religion. People are more open and don't even care if you're a Jew or if you're Muslim.
Essa aqui atrás de mim é uma das padarias mais tradicionais aqui na cidade de Jope, de Tel Aviv. Ela se chama Abulafia. E para mim ela conta um pouco, como se ela fosse um microcosmos da história dessa cidade no geral. Apesar de que Tel Aviv ter sido estabelecida como a primeira cidade judaica efetivamente na nação de Israel, com os anos a cidade de Tel Aviv e a cidade de Jaffa, que era uma cidade árabe distinta, se uniram. Elas hoje são administradas pela mesma prefeitura, tem população mista nos dois locais, judeus e árabes, vivendo juntos. Eu sei que nesses dias a gente ouve tanto a respeito da guerra, mas para mim é extremamente importante mostrar isso aqui. Judeus e árabes trabalhando juntos, comprando pão no mesmo lugar. Essa é a história da cidade de Tel Aviv. Eu me orgulho pra caramba de fazer parte dessa história.
Israel is a tiny country with fewer than 10 million inhabitants, and Tel Aviv is the largest city. It's a cosmopolitan city with people from all over the world. Tel Aviv is also one of the most expensive cities in the world. In 2021, it was named the most expensive cities in the world to live according to the Times of Israel newspaper. It's a very beautiful city. It has a big city vibe, it has beaches, beautiful, everything is nice.
Gente, aqui nós estamos na Shuka Carmel, a feira, ou a entradinha da feirona, da feira livre de Tel Aviv. E esse lugar aqui é super especial, assim, super típico. Você encontra de tudo que tem em Israel.
And these days you can see that the city is quite normal, despite receiving fewer tourists, which is quite different from the reality of just a few kilometers away, on the other side, in Palestine. Ramallah is a city with around 40,000 inhabitants, and I confess that it was very difficult to find someone to film that side for me, because they're very scared of filming or appearing or showing their faces, especially after this American woman that got arrested because she posted something on the social media. And the person that I got to film for me did not want to be identified.
Aqui a gente já está bem no centro de Ramallah, que é um dos locais onde sempre se há uma movimentação e grande parte das escolas e das universidades já não estão mais atuando presencialmente. E muitos dos funcionários do governo palestino que vinham de Nablus, de Tulkarem, de Nin, já não estão mais podendo chegar a Ramallah. Então você percebe que o centro de Ramallah está bastante abandonado, sem muito movimento.
What you can immediately notice is that the city becomes emptier and people become more afraid, more suspicious. You don't really see children playing on the streets, and even the street becomes a dangerous place to be. The person who filmed for me say that there are several Israeli military checkpoints like this one. It's quite common for someone to work in Jerusalem and live in Ramallah and then are passing through this route that is being shown, which has a heavy presence of the Israel military. And you can see that the government has kind of abandoned the place. You can see trash everywhere, for example.
Nós estamos aqui no mercado principal de Ramallah, que é o que há de mais movimentado em Ramallah, e no momento vocês percebem que você não escuta nada, um silêncio estarrecedor. E é o lugar mais movimentado de Ramallah em termos de verdura, legumes, frutas. Todos sempre compram neste local aqui, que é onde se vende verduras e legumes de toda a Palestina. E como o mercado também está com dificuldades de trazer verduras, legumes e frutas do norte da Palestina, percebe-se que tudo aqui hoje é muito caro. Devido a isso também as pessoas têm evitado comprar, né, não se tem praticamente movimento, porque as pessoas já não têm mais como adquirir verduras ou legumes e frutas como adquiriam. Muito triste ver um local desse vazio dessa maneira, porque tudo se poderia ver vazio, menos este local.
But how Palestine works? How is the territory of Palestine? I know that many people don't even know this information. Well, this is a very complicated history, but I'll try to make a long story short. You can see this territory that's green. This used to be Palestine, and this is what Palestine became through the years. Now we can resume Palestine territory in two. First one is Gaza in the south, where the war is still very strong. And the second one is the West Bank in the north, the one that we just shown. And among all of this is Jerusalem, which is a territory that's sacred for all these religions. And also, this city is very different now during the war. Jerusalem is a city that's visited for millions and millions of people every single year, but now it's empty. In the history, Jerusalem was destroyed over 2 times, was captured over 40 times, and was attacked over 50 times. This city is important for all these 3 religions. For Christians, it is important because of the Great Tomb. For Jews, it's important because of the Wailing Wall. And for Muslims, it's important because of the Dome of the Rock. Like I said, and I'm gonna say again, this region is really complicated because it involves religions, people, territory, cultures, everything. But the war is more present in the south. And now we're gonna see the other side. We're gonna take a little trip to Gaza and see how is life in there right now. This is one of the most densely populated areas in the world, with over 2 million people living in this tiny territory. And who is covering this part is Rahaf. She was born in this region and she's trying to raise money to help her family to get out of debt. So you can check the link in the description to help her out.
مرحبا، أنا رهف، وإحنا اليوم 157 يوم من الحرب المستمرة على غزة. غير بكل معاييرها، هاي الحرب يمكن الخامسة على قطاع غزة، لكن هاي الحرب ما ضل ولا أي شيء يعني حياة. الحياة كلها انعدمت. تم قصف المستشفيات، المدارس، البيوت، الجامعات، المراكز الثقافية، كل شيء. لم يتبقى أي شيء. يا الله.
And while Rahaf was making this video for the channel, she heard bombs and gunshots through her window. So this is the situation there right now, every day.
A lot of people in this land, a lot of tents. It's so hard to see my people like this.
The scenario there is a real destruction. Imagine you're sleeping in your house, but you don't even know if you're gonna have your house tomorrow or if you're gonna be alive tomorrow.
يا عيني. أحلام، هاي هي اللعبة الوحيدة اللي موجودة، نطير الطائرات الورقية.
But life has to go on. People have to eat, have to survive, kids have to play around, but they don't know how tomorrow is gonna be.
كتير صعب إني أشوف بس أنزل على الشارع وأصور، أشوف كيف الأطفال ماشيين حافين، وأشوف كيف الزبالة بكل مكان، وأشوف كيف الخيام، وكيف صار تحول من بعد 7 أكتوبر، كيف صارت رجعنا للحياة البدائية.
Until the day 5th of March of 2024, 31,000 people were killed in this war, 30,228 on the Palestinian side and 1,410 on the Israel side. The war has been out there for 5 months and has no signs to be stopping now. Well then, innocent people are the most affected. and most of them is children and women. In this video, we saw both sides. They were both affected, and this is the worst thing about wars. People that has nothing to do with that are the most affected. Well, I hope this war ends soon, but like I say, human beings are very complicated. But thanks a lot for people that filmed the reality for me. You can check the social medias down here, and for you, thanks for watching.